the effect of enzyme concentration on the decomposition of hydrogen peroxide. And you are being given 3% hydrogen peroxide. The purpose of this investigation, you can understand how we work with this one enzyme, and then what tools we use to investigate how this enzyme works, and then use it to create your own independent question about enzymes. So next class we will do a little bit more work on another enzyme and some other techniques, and then I will ask you to choose your own research question based on something that we have done here or based on something that you might have read someplace else on enzymes, and each person would then have to do their own individual lab report. Collect your own data, work by yourself. If you're investigating something like enzymes, like we are doing today, just to model and to try out some things, then you are going to take your pure potato extract today and you're going to dilute it to get a range of 5 dilutions. A range of 5 when you're working with something like enzymes is recommended. You can work with more than 5 in your range if you like, but you want to have a range of 5. And ideally in your plan, even though today I'm only going to ask you to do this twice because we're just trying out how things work, but when you're doing it for your own investigation, you would want to do this 5 times and work with this 5 times and this 5 times and this 5 times, and also the original one 5 times. So you'll have what we call the 5 by 5. 5 in the range with 5 replicates. Again, the reason why we recommend that you do have 5 is because when you take the raw data and you put it into a process data table, the standard deviation would not be valid if you don't have enough trials. Today we're going to focus on making these 5 dilutions following these directions that you see up here. And then once you've got a dilution of the enzyme, then you will take a test tube and fill it up to about the 3/4 level with the substrate, which is not being interfered with today. We're not diluting it, but at another time you can choose to see what the effect of substrate concentration is by coming with a range of dilutions for substrate concentration. Today we're just taking the 3% peroxide and we're taking the forceps that you have there, and then we're taking the hole puncher that you have there, punching out some holes from the filter paper to make some filter paper discs, holding it with the forceps, and then as soon as the disc goes right below the level of the peroxide, you start a stopwatch. This probably will sink. Even if it does not sink, it's going to go down to its lowest point, and then you stop the timer when the disc returns to the surface. What's really happening here is the decomposition of peroxide to release oxygen, and the oxygen bubbles collect on the filter paper, making it more buoyant and allowing it to float. The catalase just facilitates or helps this to happen faster, because that is what enzymes do. They facilitate, they catalyze reactions, making substrate go to products faster. We will get an indicator of that production of oxygen by timing how long it takes this to float. So you've got everything laid out there to do that. So you'll do that twice, and then you'll do something more, because you want to see what other techniques are open to you to investigate not just this enzyme but other enzymes. And the way that we're monitoring it is quantitative because we're using a timer. So we can have a specific quantity as to how fast it's reacting. But another way to do that quantification is to put substrate and enzyme into a test tube like this. Allow enough volume to have a significant amount of reaction happening, and then cap it with a pressure sensor and measure the change in pressure like over 60 seconds. And that would give you something that again would be a measure of the rate, because the pressure is being measured really because of what? It's changing because of what? The production of oxygen. So it's another way to measure oxygen. Then we can go with the most direct way, which is simply to put in an oxygen sensor in there. And you've got that already. Remember, keep it upright at all times when it comes out of the box. In the box you would have this 250 milliliter bottle, which you will put this mixture into, put that on, and collect data. I will be around today to make sure everyone knows how to put the settings on Logger Pro. So this is going to give you some different techniques. And then when we come back next class, then we will go to another lab, which I've already explained. And if you click right here, you will be able to go across to that lab and watch the video for it. That's going to involve catechol oxidase. which is extracted from bananas. And we will not have oxygen being produced with catechol oxidase. So all of these won't be open to us. But what we will have is a change of a solution's color from transparent to dark. And then we have another device which can measure the amount of light that goes through the solution. Spectrophotometer. We will learn how to use that at the next class. And then you will have the choice whether you want to work with some area with this enzyme or something concerning that enzyme. So you can think about changing the enzyme concentration, which is what we're doing today. You can think about changing the substrate concentration, which is the peroxide, which we're keeping constant today. But you can change it from 3% to 1% to 5%, whatever. It's been made and set at 3% today for you. But you can manipulate this variable if you choose to. Then you can manipulate temperature, because enzymes are protein. And they are affected also by pH. So we can change pH with buffer tablets, and we can change temperature, and that could be another factor that we can change. But there are other factors too that you can come up with to make your research question your own. You can decide, well, what's the effect of some heavy metal on the work of my enzyme? Or is it that potato catalase is different from yam catalase, or sweet potato catalase, or apple catalase? Or is chicken liver catalase different from pig's liver catalase? In terms of like something that you would want to investigate with it, of course. You'd have to think about all of your variables and what you need to hold constant before you can make some valid comparison. Then we also looked at how lactase could be immobilized in beads. You might want to think about, is there some more efficient way to work with catalase using some immobilization technique? There are lots of different things that you can come up with around the topic of enzymes to make your research question extra special and not leave it at the simple level. Because one of the things we want to see from the student is that they have a personal connection. We want you to do something that's built on the ideas that we get, but you kind of twist it and make it your own.